The young man went to a desk against the wall and wrote on a pad. Dr. Meinsterberg watched him, returning to his perusal of the manuscript sheets when the young man finished and looked up. Here are the names and addresses. Uncle Billy can take you to all of them. They are too far apart to walk. Are you planning to stay here tonight? We're going to have a reading in the morning. Perhaps you'd like to watch it. I intend to stay, the doctor said, putting the manuscript sheets on the tea table. I will take a room at the hotel. Tonight I will visit these people and question them. The owner of the hotel, Mr. New, is one of my partners. You'll probably find Dr. Ketchum and my father there, too, later on. Good. I shall endeavor to see them. He tucked the sheet with the names and addresses into an inside pocket. Well, we meet again, tomorrow, eh? Yes, sir. Oh, there is one more thing. To what power or force do you and your associates attribute this phenomenon? We don't know, sir, except for what the readings have said themselves. This is what I said when they asked me to explain the thing. Edgar Case's mind is amenable to suggestion, the same as all other subconscious minds, but in addition there is a river. There too it has the power to interpret to the objective mind of others what it acquired from the subconscious state of other individuals of the same kind. The subconscious mind forgets nothing. The conscious mind receives the impression from without and transfers to the subconscious, where it remains even though the conscious be destroyed. He folded the chbing and returned it, with the others, to Dr. Meinsterberg. The doctor looked him squarely in the eye. The story of the subconscious mind can be told in 3 words, he said. There is none. Well, I shall continue my investigations. He went out without shaking hands or sa 3ng goodbye. The young man watched through the having room window until the cab drove away. Then he went into the room across the hall, taking the manuscript sheets with him. On the far side of the room, on a massive oak bed, lay a frail, dark-haired girl, almost lost in the great expanse of sheets and counterpane. In the twilight only her outline was visible. She was a shadow on the bed. The young man lit one of the lamps on the dresser and brought it to the sick table. Her face leaped up at him like a flame. Her eyes were dark, but a fierce light shone from them. Her cheeks were bright red. Her oval face was like a miniature portrait come to life. Her face was worried, quick, yet the words came softly. Who was that man, Edgar? What did he want? You're not going off with him somewhere, are you? The young man leaned down and kissed her forehead. Just a professor from Harvard, he said. He came all the way down here to expose me. She seemed re-heaved. No wonder his voice sounded so officious. What did he say? Nothing much. He dumped all the books on the floor and called me a simpleton. There is a river, the girl sighed. Declare I don't know where people learn such bad manners, she said. What time is it? Mother ought to be bringing Hugh Lin down soon. They're coming now. I hear Hugh Lin banging that gate again. It's 5 o'clock. He went to the front door and opened it. A little boy with fat cheeks grabbed him around the legs. Hey, Dad, The bears are after me again, he cried. The young man smiled at the lady who had come with the boy and waved a hand against the cold air that was blowing in on him. Go way, bears, he said. The little boy released his legs and walked into the hall. Way. Almost got me that time, he said. What about your grandmother? The young man said. Aren't you afraid the bears will get her? No, the boy said. They don't eat ladies. Only little boys. He struggled out of his coat and ran into the bedroom, shouting, Mud die, the bears didn't get me again. The lady who had come with him took OJBF her black coat and black hat, revealing a black dress, high at the throat, and black hair brushed straight away from her forehead. How is Gertrude? She said to the young man. About the same, he answered. They went into the bedroom together. The girl turned her head and smiled at her mother. Hugh Lynn says Aunt Kate made him some ginger cook. Ice, she said. Kate's a fool, her mother said. Hugh Lynn's like a ball of butter now and she keeps feeding him sweets. How do you feel? There is a river all right, I reckon. I'll get you freshened up for dinner. Edgar, who was that? Who just drove away from here? Anyone I know? No. Some professor from Harvard. Down here to investigate me and show me up as a fake, same as they all try to do. He spilled our books all over the floor and called Edgar a simpleton, the girl said. Her voice was resentful. I noticed the mess as I came in. Well, you've got to expect that sort of thing from Yankees. They don't carrot any better, poor souls. I think they know what's right as well as anyone else. Die girl said. They just think they're better than we are, that's all. Don't excite yourself, child, her mother said. That white trash isn't worth it. Edgar. Why don't you get some decent school to investigate you, like Washington and Lee? Harvard is just a pest hole of Republicans. You know that. This man is a foreigner, the young man said. A GER man, I would say, from his accent. Oh, well, that explains ever 3 carroting. Here, take Hugh Lynn out of here while I fuss around with Gertrude some. The young man and the boy went into the living room. Was that a bad man who was here, Dad? He asked. The young man lifted him high in the air and set him down by the fireplace. No, he wasn't bad. Nobody is really bad. People just make mistakes. They don't understand about God. Do you understand about God, Dad? Nobody really does. But I try to remember that God is the only one who really knows anything, and that He told me what He wants me to do in the Bible. So I try to do that. There is a river, the KTTLE boy nodded. Let's play bears, he said. You be the big bear who's chasing me. Uncle Billy huddled an Iris cab outside the large house on South Walnut Street. In the living room of the house his fair sat, overcoat removed, listening to a mild, lovely woman, whose face became radiant as she told her story. When our daughter, Aim, was 2, Mrs. Dietrich B. Gan, she caught grip. After apparently recovering, she became AFL sicked with convulsions. She would fall down suddenly and her body would stiffen until it was rigid. Her mind stopped developing. We had all sorts and kinds of doctors. They did her no good, and after 2 years of futile experimentation we took her to Evansville, Indiana, to see Dr. Lintleacombe and Dr. Walker. They said it was a type of nervousness, and they treated her for months, but she didn't improve. We brought her home. We had treatments here, but she got worse, 20 convulsions a day, sometimes. Her mind became a blank. We took her to Dr. Hopper in Cincinnati. He said she had a rare brain affliction that was invariably fatal. We brought her home to die. Then one of our local friends, Mr. Wilgus, told us about Edgar Cayce. Dr. Meinsterberg interrupted. This Mr. Wilgus, was he connected with the young man Cayce in any way? Oh, no, except that he had always been interested in him. Mr. Wilgus is one of our most influential citizens. He used to hunt a good deal down on the Cayce property, and when Edgar was a boy Mr. Wilgus used to hire him as guide. One day a piece of shot glanced from a bird which Mr. Wilgus had brought down and struck the boy in the cheek. There is a river, Mr. Wilgus felt so conscience-stricken that he always kept an eye on Edgar and tried to help him out. At any rate, Mr. Wilgus had re-diags. And on the advice of one of them went to Cincinnati for a minor operation, which he said vastly improved his health. He urged us to give the Yoxmig man a chance. You understand, of course, that he was not in the business of giving readings at the time. This was in the summer of 1902, nearly 10 years ago. Edgar was then working in Bowling Green, in a bookstore. Dr. Meinsterberg nodded. I understand, he said. We will proceed. My husband asked him to come here, and he did. He wanted no other remuneration than the railroad ticket. He said the trip gave him a chance to see his girl. They were married the following year, I believe. He came with Mr. A1C Lane, the local man who was at the time conducting the readings and giving some of the treatments. Dr. Meinsterberg interrupted again. He was a doctor, this Lane. He was studying osteopathy at the time. Later he was graduated in the profession. His wife had a millinery shop in Hopkinsville and Edgar Cayce's sister was employed there. Mr. Lane put Cayce into a trance, Dr. Meinsterberg said. Did either of die men examine the child? No. They saw her, but I remember Edgar saying how he did not see how it could help him. I remember how young and boyish he looked. I thought to myself, how can this boy be of any help to us when the best doctors in the cone try have failed? You see, we knew his family and we knew Edgar. He had very little schooling. You were skeptical, then? Dr. Meinsterberg asked. There is a river. I hoped for a miracle, as any mother would. The doctor nodded. He removed his coat and loosened his tie and shoelaces. Then he lay on that sofa there, she pointed, and the doctor looked and apparently went to sleep. After a few minutes, Mr. Lane spoke to him, telling him to have before him the body of our child, who was in the house, and to examine her and tell what was wrong with her body. I could not believe my ears when the sleeping man began to talk and said, yes, we have the body. His voice seemed different. It seemed, well, authoritative. Dr. Meinsterberg nodded. Exactly, he said. He told us that on the day before she caught grip she suffered an injury to her spine, and the grip gens had settled in the spine, causing the attacks. He then told X exactly where Tly lesion was and gave instructions for correcting it osteopathically. He could not possibly have known of the injury to her spine beforehand. I alone knew of it, and had not considered it serious or even an injury. But you are sure it happened? The day before Aim caught grip she was getting out of the carriage with me. She slipped and struck the end of her spine on the carriage step. She jumped up as if unhurt, and I thought no more of it. The lesion was discovered where he described it. Yes. Mr. Lane gave Aim a treatment that night. Next day we took another reading. He said the adjustment had not been properly made. Very interesting, Dr. Meinsterberg said. He told the man, Lane, his own conductor, that he had not carried out instructions. Yes. Then he told what had been done that was wrong. There is a river, and explained how to do it the right way. Lane tried again. That morning. In the afternoon another reading was taken. Still the correction had not been made. Lane tried again. The next morning a reading was taken and the treatment was approved. Edgar returned to Bowling Green, and Mr. Lane, who lived in Hopkinsville, continued the treatments. He came every day for 3 weeks. At the end of the first week Aim's mind began to clear up. She suddenly called the name of a doll of which she had been fond before the attacks occurred. A few days later, she called me by name, then she called her father. Her mind picked up just where it had left off 3 years before, when she was only 2. She advanced rapidly then. Quite rapidly. Soon she had the mind of a normal 5-year-old. After the 3 weeks of treatment we had a check reading. At that time he said the condition had been removed. There was never any more trouble. Aim today is a normal girl of 15. Shall be finished with her lessons in a few minutes and I will bring her in. Yes, yes. I would like to see her. Don't know what this strange ability is, Mrs. Dietrich went on. We have only our own experience and the experiences of our friends by which to judge. But so far as we know it always works. Edgar Casey is certainly no charlatan. He's one of the pillars of the Christian Church, and so far as anyone knows he has never taken advantage of anyone. It's just the other way around. People are always taking advantage of his good nature and his generosity. Of course, the doctor said, of course. He answered automatically, as if he had not quite heard what she was saying but was aware that she had stopped. There is a river. He was staring past her, dreamily, at the sofa on which, 10 years before, the young man he had visited that afternoon had gone to sleep. The man with the mustache paused to measure distance between himself and the cuspidor. Accurately he spat into it. His steners grouped around him in the foyer of the Latham Hotel, waited respectfully. Leslie Casey went on with his story. Well, you can see for yourself that he was a normal boy, except in school. There, he was dull. No doubt about it. He dreamed too much. All his teachers told me that. Leon he was 12 years old. He was still in the third reader. That was in the spring of 1889. My brother Lucian was teaching the school. One afternoon Lucian met me and told me he had asked Edgar to spell cabin and the boy couldn't do it. Hope I did right, Leslie, Lucian said. Made him stay after school and write the word 500 times on the blackboard. Do as you like, Lucian, I said. You're the teacher. Well, I felt mighty badly. Maybe it's my own fault, I thought. Maybe I don't spend enough time with the boy. Maybe he just needs somebody. So that night I sat down with him and we took hold of the spelling lesson. Well, there didn't seem to be anything I could do to get the lesson into his head. I'd think he had it. Then when I'd close the book and ask him to spell the words, he couldn't do it. First thing I knew, it was nearly 11 o'clock. The boy was tired, I knew, so I told him he might better go to bed. 7 UST, let me rest for 5 minutes, he said to me, and I'll there is a river know the lesson. All right, I said, just to humor him, you know. Well, I went into the kitchen to get a glass of water. I puttered around with a few things, then went back to the living room. There he was, asleep in the chair, with the spelling book for a pillow. I laughed and gave him a shake. Wake up, old man, I said, time for bed. Well, he woke up right off left, and said, ask me the lesson. I know it now. I was sure he didn't, but to humor him I asked him a few words. Well, dogged if he couldn't spell them. I asked him some more and he knew them. Ask me anything in the book, he said. He seemed all excited. So I skipped through the book, and no matter what I asked, he knew it. Then he began telling me what other words were on the page with the words I asked him, and what the pictures were on the pages, and the numbers of the pages. He knew that book as if he had it in his hands, looking at it. Dr. Meinsterberg leaned forward. What was his explanation? He asked. What did he say had caused this? All I could ever get out of him was that he suddenly felt that night that if he slept a HTTLE on the book he would know the lesson. And he did. After that he slept on all his lessons, and he knew them all perfectly. He began to hop grades like he was skipping rope. His memory of these lessons, did it persist? Dr. Meinsterberg asked. Never forgot any of them. Even to this day he remembers them. Very interesting. And you recall no peculiar stances or accidents at his birth, or in his youth, before this? Not a thing, except milk on the breasts. There is a river milk on the breasts. Cried for a month after he was bomb. Nobody knew what the trouble was. Then old Patsy Casey, colored woman at my father's house, used to be a slave. She came over and asked my wife for a needle. Boil it up first, she said. Then she took it and pricked a HTTLE hole in the nipple of each breast, and dogged if milk didn't come from them. After that the baby never cried much at all. I have heard of that, Dr. Meinsterberg said, in my medical studies. Are you a medical doctor as well as a PhD? Dr. Ketchum asked. He was a smiling, quick-moving, bright-eyed man, in his middle 30s. Oh, yes, Dr. Meinsterberg said, I have a medical degree. I studied both at Leipzig and Heidelberg. Then I may tell you of some of my cases. Dr. Ketchum said, I am most interested to know what school of medicine he endorses. Dr. Meinsterberg said, for the Dietrich child he prescribed osteopathy. He uses all schools, Dr. Ketchum said, and often for the same case. He sometimes gives osteopathy along with electrical treatments, massage, diet, and compounds to be taken internally. He sometimes calls for herbs that are hard to get or for a medicine we haven't heard about. Sometimes it's just come on the market, sometimes it's been off die market for a while. Always he seems to know everything, Dr. Meinsterberg said. You would say that he was quoting from a universal mind, perhaps? Dr. Ketchum nodded sagely. I have often thought so, he said. In one of the Erhest readings I conducted a preparation was given called oil of smoke. I had never there is a river heard of it, nor had any of our local druggists. It was not listed in the pharmaceutical catalogues. We took another reading and asked where it could be found. The name of a drugstore in Louisville was given. I wired there, asking for the preparation. The manager wired back saying he did not have it and had never heard of it. This was given for what? Dr. Meinsterberg asked. For a boy with a very obstinate leg sore, Dr. Ketchum said. We took a third reading. This time a shelf in the back of the Louisville drugstore was named. There. Behind another preparation, which was named, would be found a bottle of oil of smoke, so the reading said. I wired the informer, Tyon, to the manager of the Louisville store. He wired me back, found it. The bottle arrived in a few days. It was old. The label was faded. The company which put it up had gone out of business. But it was just what he said it was, oil of smoke. Very interesting, Dr. Meinsterberg said. Very interesting. Leslie Casey cleared his throat and spat again into the cuspidor. I remember a case, he said, when the boy was in Bowling Green. The young man sat at the kitchen table of the Casey home on West 7th Street, looking miserable, staring into the cup of coffee set before him. His mother, a grey-haired woman with a tired, pretty face, sat opposite him, looking at his downcast head and bent shoulders. I don't know what happens to all the pairs of rubbers you get, she said. You'll be lucky if you don't catch cold. There is a river. Walking 2 miles to get here and 2 miles back again in a snowstorm with nothing on your feet but those light shoes. It wasn't snowing when I started, he said. You should wear rubbers anyhow. The ground is cold and damp even when there isn't snow. She smiled. Well, I'm glad you came, anyhow. It's nice to see you. I know you're working too hard, staying at the studio all day, and being up with Gertrude at night. You shouldn't bother, even to talk with these people who come here to do their so-called investigations. If you ask me, I think most of them are bigger fakes than the poor soul they try to bedevil. They go and get a little learning and then run around being superior to everybody else. He didn't bother me, Mother, except to start me bother. ing myself again. I could see his viewpoint, standing there, asking me questions, and comparing the answers with what he knows to be true in science. I kept realizing more and more that the only answer that to me would answer the whole thing satisfactorily would just make him certain that I'm crazy. His mother nodded. Everybody takes it for granted, even the best Christians, the ministers and missionaries, that the things that happened in the days of the Bible and the days of the saints can't happen now, she said. He shook his head gloomily, agreeing with her. Suppose I had said to him, Dr. Meinsterberg, when I was quite young I became attached to the Bible. I resolved to read it once for every year of my life. When I was 12 years old I finished it for the 12th time. Reckon I whizzed through it most of those times, reading the parts I liked best. There is a river. One had built a little playhouse for myself in the woods on a creek that ran through the old Casey place, by a bend, at the willows. Every afternoon I went there to read my favorite book. One spring day when I was reading the story of Manoah for the 13th time, I looked up and saw a woman standing before me. One thought it was my mother, come to fetch me home for the chores. Then I saw that she was not my mother, and that she had wings on her back. She said to me, Your prayers have been answered, little boy. Tell me what it is you want most of all, so that I may give it to you. I was very frightened, but after a minute I managed to say, Most of all I would like to be helpful to other people, especially children. Then she disappeared. Suppose I told him that, and then how the next day in school I couldn't spell a word, and was kept after school. And how that night I slept on a spelling book and knew everything in the book when I woke up. What would he say to that? Wistfully his mother looked at him. One reckon they'd have the wagon after you and send you up the road to the asylum, she said. But to me it's the most beautiful story I've ever heard. I remember the first day you told it to me. The day it happened, before you even knew it meant anything. And we never told it to anyone else. You were so solemn, and so worried about what it meant. And you looked so angelic. I prayed then that you would always remain that way. He was embarrassed and drank his coffee noisily. That's the trouble, he said. If it had happened to an angel it would be all right. But I'm no angel. There are so many people who are better than I am. Why did it happen to me, unless it's the work of the devil? There is a river. His mother got up and took her Bible from the kitchen shelf. Good men, she said, always worry about that. You'll find it in here. She tapped the Bible everywhere you look. You know that. It's the people who are actually the tools of the devil who never worry about whether they are wrong or right. They're sure they are right. But we're sure the readings are right. So long as you are right, son, they will be right. The devil cannot speak through a righteous man. I saw the Dietrich girl on the street yesterday. She's a beautiful girl, and as bright as can be. There's proof on every street in this town that the readings are right. She opened the Bible and turned to the Gospel of St. John. We read this together the day you had the vision. I found it for you, remember? It's in the 16th chapter. Verily, verily, I say to you, whatsoever ye shall ask the Father in my name, he will give it you. Hitherto have ye asked nothing in my name. Ask, and ye shall receive, that your joy may be full. Yes, I remember, he said. St. John, let not your heart be troubled. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am, there ye may be also. Love me. Keep my commandments. Read from the 15th. Mother, she began, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. When he left, she kissed him and patted his shoulder. As long as I'm sure of you. I'm sure of the readings, she said, and I'm still sure of you. Now put on your father's rubbers and don't fuss about it. He stepped into a night that was quiet, windless. Here is a river. Snow fell straight down, noiselessly. Large, fuzz 2 flakes fell on his cheeks, his nose, his lips, his eyelashes. He turned east and started the long walk home. Behind him, down the rolling hills and shallow vales of Christian County, snow fell on the scattered farms of the Cases, and on the creek that runs through the old Placee Carrot, where it bends to pass the willows. During the night the snow stopped. Only a light cover ing was on the ground. Next morning, when Dr. Meinsterberg left Cly Hotel and walked to North Main Street, he turned right at the comer and went halfway down the block, stopping at the red brick building next to the bookstore. A sign pointed the way upstairs to the Casey studio. The doctor trudged up the steps and paused in the hallway. One door led to the studio, another was labeled, Edgar Casey, Psychic Diagnostician. The doctor opened this door, entering a small reception room. Beyond it was a large office room. From his place behind a massive desk, Leslie Casey waved him in. Our patient ought to be here soon. Due on the 10:00 train from Cincinnati, he said. Sit down. The room was elaborately furnished. It held 2 large rocking chairs, 2 overstuffed easy chairs, a center table, a desk and typewriter for a stenographer, and Leslie's desk. All these were bedded in the pile of an enormous, deep milligram. Dr. Meinsterberg sat down but did not remove his coat. He complained of the cold. Edgar's in the studio, developing some plates, Les explained. He'll be here shortly. The reading is set for 10:30. I have 10:20 now. There is a river wire. Will the reading take place? The doctor asked. There was a small room opening off left the large one. In it was a high, bare couch, like a doctor's examination table. Near it was a small table and chair. Straight chairs sat against the wall. Leslie pointed to the room. In there, he said. Edgar has on the couch. I stand by him to give the suggestion and read the questions. The stenographer sits at Cly table and takes notes. And on the couch he will put himself into this state of self-hypnosis, only waking when you suggest it. That will be very interesting. That is what I wish to see, the doctor said. The door opened and Dr. Ketchum came in. With him was a sallow-faced man who identified himself as the patient. He was escorted to the large desk, where he sat with Leslie Casey, answering questions and filling out several blanks. Dr. Ketchum chatted with Dr. Meinsterberg. In a few minutes, Utes, a young lady entered, took a pad and some pencils from the stenographer's desk, and went into the small room, seating herself at the table. And here is the young man himself, Dr. Meinsterberg, said as the door again opened. The young man smiled and shook hands. Then he took off his coat and loosened his tie. You are going to lie on that couch and sleep? Dr. Meinsterberg asked, pointing into the small room. Yes, the young man said. I'll bring a chair in and you can sit right beside me. That will be unnecessary. My seat here is very comfortable. I can see the couch and hear what you say. I will remain here. The young man went into the small room. Sitting on the section side of the couch, he unfastened high section cuff links and loosened there is a river his shoelaces. Then he swung his legs up, lay flat on his back, closed his eyes, and folded his hands on ID's abdomen. Leslie Casey escorted the patient into the small room and gave him a straight chair. Dr. Ketchum remained in the large room, as a courtesy to the visitor. Leslie Casey stood by the couch, at his son's right hand, and prepared to read from a small black notebook. Dr. Meinsterberg watched the young man keenly. His respiration deepened gradually, until there was a long, deep breath. After that he seemed to be asleep. Leslie Casey began to read from the black notebook. Now the body is assuming its normal forces, and will give the information which is required of it. You will have before you the body of, he gave the patient's name, who is present in this room. You will go over the body carefully, telling us the conditions you find there, and what may be done to correct an thing which is wrong. You will speak distinctly, at a normal rate of speech, and you answer the questions which I will put to you. For several minutes there was silence. Then the young man began to mumble in a voice that sounded far away and high-emptying, as if he were speaking from a dream. Over and over again he repeated the patient's name and the phrase, present in this room. Suddenly he cleared his throat and spoke distinctly and forcibly, in a tone stronger than that he used when awake. Yes, we have the body, he said. There is a great deal of trouble in this system. Along the spine, through the nervous system, through the circulation, which is perverted, through the digestive organs, there is trouble. Also inflammation in the pelvic organs, trouble with the kidneys and slight inflammation in the bladder. Seems that it starts from digestive disturbances in the stomach. The digestive organs fail to perform, there is a river there function properly. There is lack of secretion along the digestive tract. The pancreas and liver are also involved. The voice went on, continuing the diagnosis. Dr. Meinsterberg hunched forward in his chair, listening intently. His eyes went back and forth from the young man to the patient. How did the patient feel? There is a dryness of the skin and disturbed lymphatic circulation, aching in the arms and legs, particularly notice. Able under the knee, on the side of the leg. He feels stretchy when he gets up. Pains in the arms, pains and a tired feeling between the shoulders and back of the head. How to cure all this? Many things were to be done. First, get the stomach in better shape. We have some inflammation here. Cleanse. The stomach. When this is done, we will stimulate the liver and the kidneys. Drink large quantities of water, pure water. Hitherto we have not had enough liquids in the system to aid nature in throwing off the secretions of the kidneys. When the stomach is cleansed, not before, give small doses of sweet spirits of nitre and oil of juniper. Use vibrations along the spine. Not manipulation but 6. Bration. All the way up and down from the shoulders to the tip of the spine, but not too close to the brain. There were other things, exercises, a tonic, a diet. Then the voice said, ready for questions. Leslie Casey read a few which he had written down in the notebook. They were promptly answered. Then the voice said, we are through. For the present. From the notebook Leslie Casey read the suggestion that, now the body will have its circulation restored for there is a river